Who's ready? Are you ready?
Ready?
Are you ready now? Okay.
Go.
All right, we're live. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Dee. Howdy, Landon. Howdy, Lynn.
Hello.
Howdy, Brenda. Howdy, Shawnette. And whoever else is here that I can't see yet. So tonight we are starting the Book of Enoch, and we are doing it on this website, which is pinned in the YouTube comments. If you want to read there, or we'll share on screen, we are only reading part 1 tonight, which is, it's only the first 36 chapters. Some of them are really short, though. Like me in elementary school.
Like me now.
All right, let's go ahead and pray in for everybody. Father, thank you very much for this opportunity to come together and fellowship and read this book of Enoch, which we believe to be part of your word, as we will see hidden until the last days. And we would just ask that you pour out your spirit of knowledge and understanding and discernment on us to be able to see how it applies to us or doesn't apply to us, and also to discard or shed those teachings that are incorrect pertaining to Enoch and how it applies to Scripture. Send us your spirit to show us. We thank you for that. We would also ask for your continued healing on people that need it right now, and protection and cover over those that also need it. Thanks. We love you. And in Jesus Yeshua's name, amen. All righty. Let's see here. Let's do this and go to that, and then click that, and then click this. Look at that. All right. The Book of Enoch, Section 1, Chapter 1. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up his parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw. But not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might, and from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish. And there shall be judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to God, and they shall be prospered, and they shall be blessed, and he will help them all. And light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Chapter 2. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. Behold ye the earth, and give heed to the things which take place upon it, from first to last, and steadfast how they are, how none of the things upon earth change, but all the works of God appear to you. Behold, the summer and the winter, how the whole earth is filled with water, and clouds and dew and rain lie upon it. Chapter 3. Observe and see how in the winter all the trees seem as though they had withered and shed all their leaves, except 14 trees, which do not lose their foliage, but retain the old foliage from 2 to 3 years till the new comes. Chapter 4. And again, observe ye the days of summer, how the sun is above the earth over against it. And you seek shade and shelter by reason of the heat of the sun, and the earth also burns with growing heat. And so you cannot tread on the earth or on a rock by reason of its heat. Chapter 5. Observe ye how the trees cover themselves with green leaves and bear fruit. Wherefore, give ye heed and know with regard to all his works, and recognize how he that liveth forever hath made them so. And all his works go on thus from year to year forever. And all the tasks which they accomplish for him, and their tasks change not. But according as God hath ordained, so is it done. And behold, how the sea and the rivers in like manner accomplish and change not their tasks from his commandments. But ye have not been steadfast, nor done the commandments of the Lord, but ye have turned away and spoken proud and hard words with your impure mouths against his greatness. O ye hard-hearted, ye shall find no peace. Therefore shall ye execute your days, therefore shall ye execrate your days, and the years of your life shall perish, and the years of your destruction shall be multiplied in eternal execration, and you shall find no mercy. In those days you shall make your names an eternal execration unto all the righteous, and by you shall all who curse, and all the sinners and godless shall imprecate you. And for you, the godless, there shall be a curse, and all thee shall rejoice. And there shall be forgiveness of sins, and every mercy and peace and forbearance. There shall be salvation unto them, a goodly light. And for all you sinners, there shall be no salvation. But on you shall abide a curse. But for the elect, there shall be light and joy and peace, and they shall inherit the earth. And then there shall be bestowed upon the elect wisdom, and they shall live and never again sin, either through ungodliness or through pride. But they who are wise shall be humble, and they shall not again transgress, nor shall they sin all the days of their life, nor shall they die of the divine anger or wrath, but they shall complete the number of the days of their life. And their lives shall be increased in peace, and the years of their joy shall be multiplied in eternal gladness and peace all the days of their lives. Chapter 6. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said one to another, Come, let us choose wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Samjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecation upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Samlazaz, their leader; Arakalba, Ramiel, Kokablel, Tamlel, Ramlel, Denel, Ezekiel, Barakajal, Asael, Armaros, Batarel, Enanel, Zakiel, Samspael, Satarel, Turel, Jomjael, Sariel. These are their chiefs of 10. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant. And they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and drink the blood. And the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Chapter 8. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and of all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Simjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Armaros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakajal taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Arakiel, the signs of the earth. Shamsael, the signs of the sun. And Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. Chapter 9. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our case before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all the generations of the ages. And thy name, holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou, and all things are naked and opened in thy sight. And thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, and who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Samjaza, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass, and thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these.
Chapter 10. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, go to Noah, and tell him my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and the deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of great judgment he shall be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, that all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. and the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, and the children of the watchers from amongst men, and cause them to go forth. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For lengths of days shall they not have. And no request that they, their fathers, make of thee shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. For they hope and to live in eternal life, and to each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Semyaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever in consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations. And destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing. The work of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And when they shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of blessings. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vines which they plant thereon shall yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown thereof, each measure shall bear 1,000, and each measure of oil shall yield 10 presses of oil. And cleanse thou the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all godlessness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth, destroy from off the earth. And all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration, and shall praise me, and all shall worship me. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send upon it from generation to generation and forever. And in those days I will open the store chambers of blessings which are in heaven, so as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of children of men. And truth and peace shall be associated together throughout all the days of the world, and throughout all the generations of men. Chapter 12. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he abode, and what became of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of ages to come, and lo, the watchers called me. Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of the heaven, who have left the high heaven and holy earth place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken upon themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace, no forgiveness of sin, and inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones shall they see. And over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity. Mercy and peace shall ye not attain. Chapter 13. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have tolerance nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast sworn to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from thenceforth they could not speak, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of the sins which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and their prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan in the land of Dan, to the south and of the west of Hermon. And I read their petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me. And I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice come binding me, I to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awake, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abel's jail, which is between Lebanon and Sineser, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. Chapter 14. And the books of the word of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will I'll now say with the tongue of flesh, with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse therewith and to understand with the heart. As he had created and given to man the power of understanding the word of wisdom, so hath he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you, and from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and in the bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world, and that previously you have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your eyes, even though you weep and pray and speak with all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus. Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward, and borne me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to the wall, which is built of crystals and surrounding by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like tinsellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystals. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightning, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into the house, and I was hot as fire and cold as ice. There was no delights in life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold of me. And I was quaked and trembled, and I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision. And lo, there was a second house greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built with flames of fire. And in every respect, it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you in its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings, and the path of the stars, and the ceilings also of flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun, and there was the vision of cherubim. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so I could not look thereon. And the great glory set thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter and behold his face, for by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and none could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 23, 10,000, or 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most holy ones were nigh, who were nigh to him did not leave by night nor depart from him. And until then, I had been prostrate on my face, trembling, and the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come hither, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and waked me, and he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downwards. And he answered and said to me, I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach hither and hear my voice. And go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men and not men for you. Therefore you have left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourself with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons. And though ye are holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourself with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish. Therefore I have given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on the earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world, and therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as the spiritual ones of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. And now the giants who were produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits upon the earth, and evil spirits they shall be called. As for the spirit of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirit of earth which are born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants, afflicted, oppressed, destroyed, attacked, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits rise up against the children of men and against the children of women, because they have proceeded from them. Chapter 16. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits have gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus they shall destroy upon the days of consummation and great judgment, in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers and the guardless, yea, shall be holy and consummated. And now as the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, who have been aforetime in heaven, say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries women and men work much evil on the earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. Chapter 17. And they took and brought me to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wished, they appeared as men. And they brought me to the place of darkness, and to the mountain, to the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries, and the treasures of the stars, and of the thunder in the uttermost depths, where were a fiery bow and arrows in their quiver, and a fiery sword, and all lightnings. And they took me to the living waters, and to the fire of the west, which received every setting of the sun. And I came to the river of fire, in which the fire flows like water and discharges itself in the great sea toward the west. I saw the great rivers, and came to the great rivers, and to the great darkness, and went to the place where there was no flesh, where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place whence all the waters of the deep flow. I saw the mouths of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. Chapter 18. I saw the treasures of all the winds. I saw how he had furnished them with the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth and the firmament of the heaven. And I saw how the winds stretched out the vaults of heaven and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of heaven. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the earth, of the sun, and all the stars to their setting. I saw the winds on the earth carry the clouds. I saw the paths of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above. And I proceeded and saw a place which burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 toward the east and 3 toward the south. And as for those toward the east was of colored stone, and one of pearl, and one of jacinth, and those toward the south of red stone. But the middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God of alabaster, and the summit of the throne was sapphire. And I saw a flaming fire, and beyond those mountains is a region, the end of great earth. There the heavens were completed. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure alike toward the heights and depths. And beyond the abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. And I saw there 7 stars like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, "This place is the end of earth and heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over fire, as they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed time. And he was wrought with them and bound them till the end of time, with their guilt should be consummated for 10,000 years."
Chapter 19. And Uriel said to me, "Here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits assuming many different forms and defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand till the day of their great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of. And the women also, the angels who went astray, shall become sirens. And I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the ends of all things, and no man shall see, as I have seen." Chapter 20. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch: Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Tartarus; Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the spirits of men; Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries; Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind and over chaos; Serachiel, one of the holy angels who is set over the spirits who sin in the spirit; Gabriel, one of the holy angels who is over paradise and the serpents and the cherubim; Ramiel, one of the holy angels whom God set over those who rise. Chapter 21. And I proceeded to where things were chaotic, and I saw there something horrible. I saw neither a heaven above nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. And there I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, like great mountains, and burning with fire. And then I said, "For what sin are they bound? And on what account have they been cast in hither?" Then said Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me, and was chief over them, and said, "Enoch, why dost thou ask, and why art thou eager for the truth? These are the numbers of the stars of heaven, which have transgressed the commandments of the Lord, and are bound here till 10,000 years. The time entailed by their sins are consummated. And from thence I went to another place, which was still more horrible than the former. And I saw a horrible thing, a great fire there which burnt and blazed, and the place was cleft as far as the abyss, being full of great descending columns of fire. Neither its extent or magnitude could I see, nor could I conjecture. Then I said, how fearful is this place, and how terrible to look upon! Then Uriel answered me, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto me, Enoch, why hast thou such fear and affright? And I answered, because of this fearful place, and because of this spectacle of pain. And he said unto me, this place is the prison of the angels, and here they will be in prison forever. Chapter 22. And thence I went to another place, and he mountain and of hard rock. Okay, I don't know if that's a typo, but and thence I went to another place, and he mountain and of hard rock, and there was in it 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. How smooth are the hollow places, and deep and dark to look at. Then Raphael answered, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto me, these hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the spirits of the souls of the dead should assemble therein. Yea, that all the souls of the children of men should assemble here. And these places have made to receive them till the day of their judgment comes upon them. I saw the spirit of a dead man making suit, and his voice went forth to heaven and made suit. And I asked Raphael the angel who was with me, and I said unto him, this spirit which maketh suit, who is it? Whose voice goeth forth and maketh suit to heaven? And he answered me, saying, this is the spirit which went forth from Abel, whom his brother Cain slew. And he maketh his suit against him till his seed is destroyed from the face of the earth, and his seed is annihilated from amongst the seed of men. Then I asked regarding it, and regarding all the hollow places, why is one separated from the other? And he answered me and said unto me, these 3 have been made that the spirits of the dead might be separated. And such a division has been made for the spirits of the righteous, in which there is the bright spring of water. And such has been made for sinners when they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not been executed on them in their lifetime. Here their spirits shall be set apart in this great pain till the great day of judgment and punishment and torment of those who curse forever, and retribution for their spirits. There he shall bind them forever, and such division has been made for the spirits of those who make their suit, who make disclosure concerning their destruction, when they were slain in the days of the sinners. Such has been made for the spirits of men who were not righteous but sinners, who were complete in transgression, and of the transgressors they shall be companions. But their spirits shall not be slain in the day of judgment, nor shall they be raised from thence. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, and said, blessed be my Lord, the Lord of righteousness, who ruleth forever. Chapter 23. From thence I went to another place to the west of the ends of the earth, and I saw a burning fire which ran without resting, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly. And I asked, saying, what is this which rests not? Then Raguel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said unto me, this course of fire which thou hast seen is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven. Chapter 24. And from thence I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire, which burnt day and night. And I went beyond and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other. And the stones thereof were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. 3 towards the east, one founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, one upon the other, and deep, rough ravines, no one of which 3 joined with any other. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it exceeded them 4 in height. Oh, no, I'm reading numbers, I shouldn't. And it exceeded them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And amongst them was a tree such as I had never smelt, neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood wither not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruits resemble the dates of a palm. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and it blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy angels, honoring God, who was with me, and was their leader. Chapter 25. And he said unto me, Enoch, why dost thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree? And why dost thou wish to learn the truth? Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, this high mountain, which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of God, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Lord of glory, the eternal King, will sit when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for the fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever. It shall then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Lord, the eternal King. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad, and into the holy place shall they enter, and its fragrance shall be in their bones. And they shall live a long life on earth, such as thy fathers lived. And in their days shall no sorrow or plague, or torment or calamity touch them. Then blessed I, the God of glory, the eternal King, who hath prepared such things for the righteous, and hath created them, and promised to give them. Chapter 26. And I went from thence to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place, in which there were 2 trees with branches abiding and blooming, of a dismembered tree. And there I saw a holy mountain, and underneath the mountain to the east there was a stream, and it flowed toward the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. In it also ran a stream underneath the mountain, and to the west thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former, and of small elevation, and a ravine deep and dry between them. And another deep and dry ravine was at the extremities of the 3 mountains. And all the ravines were deep, ran narrow, being formed of hard rock, and trees were not planted upon them. And I marveled at the rocks, and I marveled at the ravines. Yeah, I marveled very much. Chapter 27. Then I said, for what object is this blessed land, which is eternally filled with trees, and this accursed valley between? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, this accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together, who utter with their lips against the Lord unseemly words, and of his glory speak hard things. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall be their place of judgment. In the last days there shall be upon them the spectacle of righteous judgment in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King. In the days of judgment over the former, they shall bless him for the mercy in accordance with which he has assigned them their lot. Then I blessed the Lord of glory, and set forth his glory, and laughed and lauded him gloriously. Lauded him gloriously.
All right, chapter 28. And thence I went toward the east, into the midst of the mountain range of the desert. And I saw a wilderness, and it was solitary, full of trees and plants, and water gushed forth from above, rushing like a copious watercourse which flowed towards the northwest. It caused clouds and dew to ascend on every side. 29. And thence I went to another place in the desert and approached to the east of this mountain range. And there I saw aromatic trees exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh, and the trees also were similar to the almond tree. Chapter 30. And beyond these I went afar to the east, and I saw another place, a valley full of water, and therein was a tree, the color of fragrant trees, such as the mastic. And on the sides of those valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon, and beyond these I proceeded to the east. 31. And I saw other mountains, and amongst them were groves of trees, and there flowed forth from them nectar, which is named Sarara and Galbanum. And beyond these mountains I saw another mountain to the east of the ends of the earth, whereon were aloe trees. And all the trees were full of stacte, being like almond trees. And when one burnt it, it smelt sweeter than any fragrant odor. Chapter 32. And after these fragrant odors, as I looked towards the north over the mountains, I saw 7 mountains full of choice nard and fragrant trees and cinnamon and pepper. And thence I went over the summits of all these mountains far towards the east of the earth, and passed above the Erythraean Sea, and went far from it, and passed over the angel Zotiel, and I came to the garden of righteousness. And from afar off trees more numerous than then I came to the garden of righteousness, and these trees, and great 2 trees, very great, beautiful and glorious and magnificent, and the tree of knowledge, whose holy fruit they eat, and know grant wisdom. That tree is in height like the fir, and its leaves are like those of the carob tree, and its fruit is like the clusters of the vine, very beautiful and fragrance, and the fragrance of the tree penetrates afar. Then I said, how beautiful is the tree, and how attractive it is its look. Then Raphael, the holy angel who was with me, answered me and said, this is the tree of wisdom, of which thy father old in years and thy aged mother who were before thee have eaten, and they learnt wisdom, and their eyes were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden. Chapter 33. And from thence I went to the ends of the earth, and saw there great beasts, and each differed from the other. And I saw birds also differing in appearance and beauty and voice, the one differing from the other. And to the east of those beasts I saw the ends of the earth, whereon the heaven rests, and the portals of the heaven open. And I saw how the stars of heaven come forth, and I counted the portals out of which they proceed, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star by itself, according to their number and their names, and their courses and their positions, and their times and their months, as Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, showed me. He showed all things to me and wrote them down for me. Also their names he wrote for me, and their laws and their companies. Chapter 34. And from thence I went toward the north, to the ends of the earth, and there I saw a great and glorious device at the ends of the whole earth. And here I saw 3 portals of heaven open in the heaven. Through each of them proceed north winds, and when they blow, there is cold, hail, frost, snow, dew, and rain. And out of one portal they blow for good. But when they blow through the other 2 portals, it is with violence and affliction on the earth, and they blow with violence. Chapter 35. And from thence I went toward the west to the ends of the earth, and I saw there 3 portals of heaven open, such as I had seen in the east, the same number of portals and the same number of outlets. Chapter 36. And from thence I went to the south to the ends of the earth, and saw there 3 open portals of the heaven, and thence there came dew, rain, and wind. And from thence I went to the east, and to the ends of heaven, and saw there 3 eastern portals of heaven open, and small portals above them. Through each of these small portals pass the stars of heaven, and run their course to the west on the path which is shown to them. And as often as I saw, I blessed always the Lord of glory, and I continued to bless the Lord of glory, who has wrought great and glorious wonders to show the greatness of his work to the angels and to the spirits and to men, that they might praise his work and all his creation, that they might see the work of his might and praise the great work of his hands, and bless him forever. All right.
Wow.
Wow, what?
That's just pretty cool.
Kind of a big place.
Yeah, it seems like it would be. And that while you were reading, I was thinking if somebody took a large sheet of paper or a canvas and started at a location near the center, drawing a map like you have in books like The Lord of the Rings or something like that.
I was thinking,
and then followed the directions that he's giving. And then we went to the north, and then we went to the east and drew all this out. It would make a pretty cool looking map. Who's up for it?
I know an artist. It's not me. But I know an art. That's all they do. Is like they do towns in Louisiana, and maybe I'll reach out.
Sounds like a good idea to me. And what about in the chat? Who's out there?
Nobody's chatting.
I can't see you.
I thought this was very interesting. There was a couple of things that jumped out to me, but it was always while I was reading, so I didn't write anything down.
Well, I've got a few things written down.
Yeah? What do you have?
Okay, so at the end of chapter 1,
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Where is chapter 1? Where it says, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness which they have ungodly committed, and the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken. That's Jude 1:15.
Okay.
Because I was like going, I just read that the other day, or that just really sounds familiar, and that's in Jude.
15?
Mm-hmm. Jude 1:15.
Right.
Or actually, there's just one chapter in Jude, but it's just, it's in 15.
Yep. Well, actually, yep. And it starts in 14. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, and then he begins his quote, "Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches," is what the King James says, "which ungodly sinners have spoken against him." And then Jude goes to define it as these are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, and their mouth speaketh great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage.
Now, Enoch is actually quoted. I think the count for Yeshua alone was 9 times. I'd have to go back and look at all the different quotes. So they were aware of Enoch.
It certainly seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What is your belief about the people that are skeptics of Enoch? Say, oh well, it's obviously written after Christianity was established. What do you think?
Are you asking me personally?
I'm asking anybody in the chat. You personally, Landon, Chop,
I think
Leo.
Because I've looked at it when I first started seeing people, and I've been quiet about it. I haven't responded or anything or got in there and started a debate. 'Cause I have some friends and some other brethren, but I don't really know them. But when I first started just listening to the way that they were perceiving some of the things that were being said, many times I saw that they were interpreting some of what was being said a very different way from me. That they were looking at it sort of at a different angle. The things that I just didn't see it that way. I think some of it kind of goes back to that understanding of the Lord giving it to you. And I know, to me, it's a book of hope, because it was brought to my attention in a very, very dark time. But I think you could still be saved and never hear the book of Enoch or know anything about it. But it's definitely a big help for me. And I don't. It's one of those things I have to really sit with the ones that I really love and want to have the conversation with, as to how I see it differently than them. It's one of those things that's just going to take a lot of time and tact, but it's a part of that. It's like the scales over the eyes, and maybe there's maybe there's something in the Bible that I don't see that they do, but we're just looking at it very, very differently. It's kind of, I've picked up on that a lot. So.
Yeah, in that, and I believe, in my opinion, I think it's doctrine, right, or denominationalism that gets in the way of this, or like when we read the Apocrypha, and it's like, oh, I don't want to, oh no, I can't think that, because that would mean I'm looking at this wrong. So obviously that's a fake.
Can you
Well,
imagine?
when we were reading through it, part of the things that came up to my head was, if you remove this, you can establish your own doctrine. And just exactly what you are really close to what you're talking about. By removing this, there were several things in here I'm going, oh, wow, now I can see how that allowed a different doctrine to be developed. For me, it was an eye-opener, because I always struggled when I read the Old Testament. Even though I knew the Father was merciful, it did sound like he was a tyrant and just went through and killed people, just wiped out people for no seeming reason. And when I read this, it was like I understood it was for mercy and for preservation, and maybe that's why it was taken out. So it changed our view of who the Father is. Again, doctrine.
Right.
Now, what do you think about these 200 angels? Right, because we're told that they wanted to, that they saw the daughters of men and lusted after them.
I think
So,
some of them, well, and especially in a time where people kept their word, and again, I believe the language of heaven, I've mentioned this before on other live streams, I believe that language of heaven, whatever it sounds like, is a language of intention, that there's nothing hidden from it. There's no it's just my personal belief, and I'm not adding to or taking away. I don't know, it's a hunch, call it that. But whenever they make an oath, there's kind of that peer pressure sort of thing as well. But we see it today. Like on Earth. There are there's so many lusts, and we're at a day and age that, like, people won't even hide it. Like, even if it's like a young girl, and you'll be in the middle of a Walmart, you're like, dude, like, and so I see it as maybe a very similar thing. They saw how beautiful they were, how pure that they were, and they wanted to have it, but lusting after something, it's not falling in love with whatever that thing is, be it a human or a boat. It's just, I want it because someone else has it, versus being in love with the whatever that thing is.
So
I
here's my
find it.
question.
Go ahead.
Here's my question. If they're in heaven, they have their assigned purpose, they have their job, right? They have their existence. So are they seeing men procreate with women and thinking, hey, I want to do that? Or is this a knowledge that they had from before and said, hey, check this out. We got this body, but we can also do it with that body.
Because it says in there they could take human form.
Right.
That's further down in what Enoch was talking about. So they did have the ability to take human form. Something else that struck at me, though, was they didn't have all the information. They didn't have all of the hidden mysteries. That Father set some of those aside. So part of this, I'm wondering if they were operating, and we do this, where no, not operating necessarily in ignorance, operating out of pride. We think we know something. It's like, oh, we've got this hidden, we got this knowledge over here. And so we go jump in and do something, and yet we don't have all the information. And because we don't have all the information, we cause problems. They caused a lot of problems.
That they did.
What was your question? Maybe
I'm sorry?
you were about to ask a question or
Well,
something.
it was basically the gist of it. What is it that they, were they covetous of the life or the position that man had been given and created for? Said, hey, let's go replenish the earth with our children. I mean, it's a rhetorical question at this point. None of us will have the answer as to what they thought. I mean, it's just like,
well, it could be jealousy, because was not Adam created differently than maybe a previous group, if the earth had been filled at one point, or just the fact that humankind is made in the image of God. Right.
And then I noticed too, though, it also said that they went in and defiled themselves with women, with the blood of women. And it just reminded me, in standard canonized scripture, it says that we were conceived in sin. And is it that blood that makes that act unclean?
Well, I'm wondering, it makes me wonder when you said that, two things. In the Torah, men are not supposed to go into women during that time of the month.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, it just dawned on me when you were saying that, was that actually the original plan of procreation? Was a menstrual cycle, that type of thing, that whole process that happens, was that the original way that it was going to be done? And because of Eve's sin, I'm going to, increase your pain in childbearing, but maybe that was not supposed to be part of the original plan.
Interesting. Perhaps not.
Don't know. Just a thought.
Very interesting. All right. Anybody got something else big to jump out? Or are we going to let these people go eat dinner?
Yes. Wait, we're not going to go through the whole thing. Let's read it again. All right. So, it's not so much as what they taught. We could break that down another time, just on the one chapter. I'm trying to remember. Let me collect my thoughts. We'll let you go in just a second. We're not going to count them. I was thinking of it. So they're chiefs of 10. It names them to each one of them has like 900. The way that I've done the math before, because I've really thought about this, the ones that are named in chapter 6, each one of them has 9 other, like chiefs underneath them. It says chiefs of 10s, that makes 200. If each one of them has 9 guys underneath them, that makes it brings it to 200. Chapter, oh man, you're gonna do this to me. I thought we were walking through it like we do on Sunday. I know it's Monday. I was getting a heavy visual while you were reading all those rooms, and it was so neat. But chapter, I found it very interesting. Where's the valleys at? Valleys in the mountains. Valleys in the mountains.
It's toward the getting
And
down
after
towards the end of it.
The whole time, I should have wrote these things down. I don't do good with pen. The whole time he's standing there next to Michael talking about the fragrance of the tree of life. I was like, I could, he's so close to it. He's smelling it. But that's awesome. That's awesome. But okay, so when it gets into the mountains and the valleys, horrible mountains. Beautiful mountains, horrible valleys, scary things. Look, fragrant tree, 32, 33. I don't know. I don't really have a point to it. It reminded me of where I was at right before Father really got my attention. It's the way that it reads. I was like, that's probably where I would have ended up before, around judgment. And I was just kind of self-reflecting on the way that it described those mountains and the way that I was behaving towards our Father. Yeah. So anyway, I just reminded me of that.
And that actually, I still want to get Yahusha's Messiah on here because she died in her sleep and went into those valleys, and then came out after claiming the name of Jesus, and just had a big vision on it, and then was, according to her, placed back in her body. But just hearing that testimony is awesome.
Wow, that would be cool.
And then when she read Enoch, that was before she had read Enoch, and she was like,
"That's where it was." Well, there's also on the shadow of Valley of Death. That's an actual valley.
Yeah.
So that's what came to me when he was reading that, was maybe that was one of the valleys that he saw.
I think so. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Lynn. I hope that your dog emergency is under control.
Just one more before we go. This might answer Dee's question earlier. The way it describes the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, I don't remember if it's Uriel, Michael, or Raphael, but whenever who's answered me, the tree of wisdom, which the Father in the years. Yes, this is the tree that your mom and your dad ate and learn the wisdom. But he's saying we can go to it and eat and get great wisdom from it. So it seems like a thing, kind of like what you were saying about the Watchers didn't know everything. The way that it reads to me, is like, it's like we go there and we learn stuff, like when we eat of it. So it's not like the way it's always been pitched to us is you eat from the tree, you just know everything, knowledge of good and evil, all this stuff. Adam and Eve were so innocent, they didn't know that. But the way that this is reading, it kind of seems like it's like we go there and it's like, I didn't know that before. So I just wanted to point that out. That's chapter 32, I believe.
Cool. And thank you, Landon. All right, everybody. Maybe we'll split this up and do half as much twice a week. Maybe we'll do Tuesday, Thursday.
All right.
Until other projects take over. All right. Anyways, everybody, thank you much. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell thingy. All right. Love you all. Bye.